Hi, what is up? My name is Anna, and today we're going to be talking about toxic positivity. I'll put some timestamps up here as well as put them in the description just so you can know what we'll be talking about today. But starting with, what is toxic positivity? Now, this is a phrase that maybe you've heard, maybe you haven't. I feel like it's kind of starting to get talked about, but not as much as it should be. Toxic positivity is whenever anyone rejects the fact that difficult emotions are essential to live. That sounds kind of deep, that sounds kind of complex, but I think you'd be surprised how often you see toxic positivity, how often you probably engage in it yourself, because I know I do. So some examples of toxic positivity would be things like saying, good vibes only, always look on the bright side, think happy thought, it is what it is, life will go on, everything happens for a reason. Those are all short little platitudes that we see all of the time that are usually used in ways that are toxically positive. But toxic positivity is a little bit more than that. So some deeper signs of toxic positivity are to try to mask a difficult emotion. If you tell yourself to just get on with it whenever you're having a bad day, if you ever feel guilty for what you're feeling, if you ever minimize other people's feelings with some feel-good quotes or sayings, or if you ever see those feel-good quotes or sayings whenever you're at a time whenever that minimizes your own feeling. Or maybe even shaming or chastising others, whether or not it's on purpose, whenever they are having their own difficult feelings. Overall, toxic positivity is just the attitude that anything that is not positive, that is not happy, that is not good vibes is not worthwhile and should not be given the time of day. So why is toxic positivity toxic? Toxic positivity fails to acknowledge a problem. So for example, if someone lost their job and your immediate thought is to say, oh, there'll be new jobs, you can apply to some more, then that fails to acknowledge the fact that it is a problem that they lost their job and they are likely feeling sad, maybe anxious, maybe ashamed. They are feeling big things because there is a problem there, and immediately jumping to a solution is whenever that's toxic positivity. Another reason toxic positivity is toxic is that it can invalidate someone's feelings or someone's struggle or someone's pain. And this can happen for very serious life circumstances. If someone ever suffers through a miscarriage and someone says to them, oh, you can keep trying, you can try again, maybe this just wasn't your time. Phrases like that and that kind of attitude really invalidate the struggle and deep pain that they are going through. Toxic positivity can minimize a very real problem. And toxic positivity can gaslight people to question their own reality. And we'll talk a little bit more about it later, how toxic positivity can relate to gaslighting. And lastly, toxic positivity can suggest that people can just good vibe and happy thought their way out of real trauma and real struggle and maybe even real oppression. If you are a person who engages in toxic positivity, which let's be honest, we all are at varying degrees, then you can come across as inauthentic or out of touch with reality. And I think this is something that we see so often with influencers. Whenever we see influencers that are all good vibes, all happy thoughts, all positive thinking, just don't focus on the bad things, focus on the positive. If we see that all of the time from a person, then they'll come across as inauthentic and out of touch with reality. Now, with all of this to say, is it bad to be positive? No, not at all. That is not the message of this video. Unsurprisingly, research has shown that people who tend to think more positive thoughts do fare better. And so being anti-toxic positivity does not mean being anti-positivity. Positivity can be really good. Positive emotions such as love, happiness, joy, having a sense of humor make up the really good parts of life, and they're really important to have and to experience and to prioritize. But the way that you think about positivity is what matters. If you think that the opposite of positive is negative, then you may tend towards toxic positivity. You may feel that anything that is negative is hindering your good vibes, is bringing down your good day, and you may not give space in your life to view anything as negative. But if you think that the opposite of positive emotions are difficult emotions, maybe not negative emotions, but just more difficult emotions, then you may tend towards a more healthy view of positivity. Viewing emotions such as sadness or fear or anger or anxiety as difficult but necessary components of life allows you to address them as they come, and then you can truly feel happy and positive in times that are happy and positive. And research backs this up too. So Stanford did a study that lasted over 10 years. They interviewed the same people. They found that people who tended to deny or ignore difficult or negative emotions were the ones that tended to have higher levels of depression as life went on than the people who acknowledged and dealt with negative or difficult emotions as they came. And so toxic positivity is not something that you just do to other people. People can have toxic positivity within their own self and how they address hardship and how they treat their own emotions. And so how can you be toxic towards yourself? If something bad happens in your life and you immediately jump towards, but it'll be okay, I'll cheer up, it'll get better, everything happens for a reason, then you're engaging in toxic positivity towards yourself. In life, you don't have the power to either feel positive emotions or difficult emotions. They both come. What you do have the power to do is to really experience your emotions or not to experience them. And so if you choose to ignore and numb out the emotions that are more difficult, then you can't fully experience the positive emotions when they do come. And trying to get rid of difficult emotions in a whole numbs your whole world and takes away from your experience of it. Avoiding negative emotions and encouraging others around you to do the same, whether that's on purpose or not on purpose, really can narrow the range of relationships that you have with people, because as we talked about, it can lead you to come across as inauthentic and out of touch with reality. So if you find yourself squashing any type of negative emotion without allowing yourself to feel it whenever they do come, what can you do to help yourself? So maybe this is encouraging, but research has found even just the knowledge of the best ways to regulate your own emotions already makes you more likely to handle your emotions better. Regulating your emotions is associated with higher levels of well-being, closer social relationships, more achievement in school, higher performance on a job. And so even just watching this video is helping you learn a little bit more about how to regulate your emotions, and so is already helping you. So one thing you can do if you notice yourself having toxic positivity towards your own self is to start to acknowledge the benefits of difficult emotions. Now this may feel hard, especially if you're in the middle of a big difficult emotion, but things like anxiety can motivate you to prepare. And so even though anxiety is not fun, it is a difficult emotion to go through, and if you're feeling levels of it so great you can't help yourself, then it really is important to seek help so you can learn how to manage anxiety. Another example is fear. Fear tells you whenever it's probably best to get out of a situation. Fear helps keep you safe. Or if you're feeling grief, grief is a really difficult emotion to feel, but it does prove that the person, whoever you did lose, played a really valuable role in your life. Another thing you can do is to start seeking meaning over happiness. And so a study done by UC San Diego School of Medicine showed that the people who seek meaning in their life over happiness tend to have higher levels of reported happiness than the people who just seek happiness. If you have a really bad day, instead of pinpointing, why wasn't I happy today, you can pinpoint, what meaning did today have? Then you can start to acknowledge the difficult emotions, work through them as they come, and tomorrow can wake up and have a happier day. Another thing you can do for yourself is to challenge your own thought. Naturally, humans have a negativity bias. This means that it's easier for us to pick out the negative parts of life than it is for the positive parts of life. Not every quote that's shared on the internet is done with the intent of toxic positivity. It can be helpful to remember to focus on the positive. However, helpful quotes can maybe challenge you to challenge your own negative thoughts, but they can't get rid of a negative emotion. But going along with that, don't just push away difficult emotions, figure out why you're feeling them, because if you don't know why you're feeling them, then you can't fix them. So really a key for yourself is to balance positivity with reality. It is also so important to understand the effects toxic positivity can have on the people around us. How might you be being toxic towards your friends? If a friend is having a difficult day and you jump to offer them advice and perspective without acknowledging the emotions that they are feeling in that moment, then that is harmful to them. You can't make someone feel happier by saying short platitudes like everything happens for a reason, but what you can do is make them feel ashamed for how they are feeling. To force a positive outlook on somebody who is experiencing a difficult emotion is just encouraging them to keep silent to you the next time they feel that emotion. And keeping silent about the difficult parts of life is never helpful. The prevalence of toxic positivity in our culture and the bigger picture can lead to a lot bigger consequences. So this is something that maybe I'll make a whole new video about another day, because it really is a big issue and a bigger issue than I'll touch on now. But toxic positivity can lead to gaslighting, and throughout culture, often this can lead to political gaslighting, which in America is often racial gaslighting as well. If people don't know about toxic positivity and don't know how to identify it or know when to challenge it, then the harmful ideas that it pushes forward just keep on growing and growing. So for example, think about some speeches that maybe you've heard or some posts on Facebook that maybe you've seen about racial injustices in the United States. Some people in power push a message of how it's not helpful to look on the past and we just need to look on the future. Maybe if people just pick themselves up and focus on what they do have in life, then they'd be able to make it. That kind of message is all rooted in toxic positivity and is really harmful in how it invalidates what a big population of people feel and what is true. It is never helpful to just full on ignore negative experiences, and whenever it's a collective negative experience, then that's even more true. But moving back to just the friend-to-friend level on a much smaller scale, how can I be helpful with my friends instead of being harmful through toxic positivity? The most important thing to do whenever a friend approaches you next, whenever they are feeling a difficult emotion, whatever that might be, is to completely swallow your instinct. because our instincts, and I do it too, I'm totally guilty of this, our instinct is to fill silence and to avoid discomfort. We're really quick to say quick things like, oh, tomorrow will be better. Oh, it'll all be okay. Everything happens for a reason. Just think happy thoughts, that kind of thing. We're so quick to say that, and just on autopilot, even if we haven't thought about it, and even if we don't mean it, and even if we don't want to, we say those things a lot. And so it's important to swallow your first instinct and to really think about your words before you say them next time that someone comes to you, whenever they're feeling something that maybe isn't all positive vibes. Saying these types of phrases is really an easy way out, and instead of meeting a friend where they are in the bad day that they're having, really helps you avoid the discomfort, and it really invalidates your friend and whatever they are feeling. One thing that we can get really better at is just learning how to be with someone if they are feeling a difficult feeling. And something I would practice saying instead of the toxically positive platitudes is to say, I'm here with you. Whether it's a thing as small as a bad day or whether it's a big loss, a big struggle in their life, just to be with someone removes the pressure for them to pick themselves up and instantly be better, because that's unrealistic, and I guarantee they want themselves to feel happy way more than you want them to feel happy. Another thing you can do is to learn to only offer advice and perspective whenever you're asked for it, and if you're not asked for it, to default towards sympathy. Some phrases that I would look out for and avoid using, maybe try to stop using completely, are ones such as, it'll all be alright, don't worry about it, it could be worse, don't be so negative, look on the bright side of things, just think happy thoughts, everything happens for a reason, everything will work out in the end, good vibes only, positive vibes only. And maybe try to instead replace them with things like, how can I help you? I'm here with you. Is everything okay? Is there anything I can do to make it less stressful for you? This is really tough. It must be hard. Tell me about it. You're not alone, and you're not going to be alone through this. Now, is it always bad to put on your Instagram story a short positive quote encouraging people to look on the bright side? No, maybe it's not always bad, but maybe just be aware of what you put out there and the message that it's pushing on people. All in all, like I said, it is not bad to be positive. We should try to be positive in life, but toxic positivity happens whenever you're not valuing the difficult emotions that are also going to be present in life. However, it can be really harmful to portray the image that life should be all positive whenever everyone knows it's not going to be. I hope this video could be a little bit informative to you, maybe give you some ideas of some new things to say. I challenge you to try to identify when you're having toxic positive thoughts, and maybe when you're saying things to friends that will come across as toxic positivity. And I know that can be hard since it's so prevalent in our culture today and in the media you see, but being aware of it and just learning about it and talking about it is one of the biggest steps that we can take to really addressing the issue. That's it for today's video. I hope you'll subscribe before we go so we can continue learning about topics that are really important in life. I'll see you next time.